So are we not on that, man? Man base. We are man base. We are where it says Vector Chalava. Ramsey into some interesting insights tonight. Vector Chalava. One of the things that Shadayach Shabbos, of course, by Korban Pesach. In Korban Pesach, brought Shabbos is the Hector Chalava, and putting the Chalava on top of the Mizbeach. Now, Lo Yoli Chelav Chagi HaBoker. It says by Pesach, it comes out. Pesach comes on a weekday. Erev Pesach comes on a weekday, I should say. That you're not supposed to leave the chalev, the chalavim, until morning. But that's a problem, though, because that means says more if you murim chol kravim b'yontif. That means that the murim of the Korban Pesach, which is sacrificed on a weekday, are being brought on the mizbeach on Pesach night, which is already yontif. What right does one have to do that? The murim of a weekday should only be able to be brought on a weekday, even though it's a Korban Pesach, and tonight is Pesach. But the fact remains that it's a murim of a weekday korban, and it should not be able to be brought on a yontif. So it says, well, Amar Ravo said, Ki Amtia. I explained that so about B'shcha B'osel Yos B'Shabbos. Korban Pesach takes on the character of whatever day it's brought on. If the 14th day of Nisan is Shabbos, then it's a korban of Shabbos. A korban of Shabbos, the murim of the Shabbos may be brought at night, which is Yontif. Okay, so once if the Erev Shabbos Erev Pesach comes out on a Shabbos, then such a thing is relevant. Rabbi Yonah boy, right?
Isn't it like Zeres a custom? The korban is supposed to be shechted on the.
Yeah, but who says the murim should be brought at night? Look what we're going to say. Ravo has said, no, it's not going to work, this interpretation of Pasuk. He asked the question, if the 40th day comes out of Shabbos, it says in Pasuk, not lo yelu yolin chela pischi ad boker, it says chagi. What's the chag talking about? Chagiga. When is the chagiga brought? Only when Erev Pesach comes out on a weekday. So we're back to square one. You can't say this pasuk is talking about the when Erev Pesach comes out on Shabbos, because it's talking about Chagiga, and Chagiga only comes when Erev Pesach comes out on a weekday. So it says, well, you know what? Torah said, "Hakriveu mi b'yom." Sacrifice it during the day, meaning the imurim. Shelo lo tovli day lo baltolin. You thought it means so yoli chel chagi aboker. That means you put the imurim on at night. Mistake. What it means is make sure all the imurim get done before nightfall, so they're not left till the next morning. So in Echanam, you're not allowed to sacrifice the imurim of the Korban Pesach on the night of Pesach. It's taka osur. So it comes out. Okay. Now the next line is a mistake. It's not a mistake, but it's slipped in here from an irrelevant sugi in Rosh Hashanah. So just skip it. Amar Yechina said, "Ilu avar vehevi shemeino kosher." He says another interpretation. Now, according to the Hushmakol, the Korban Eidah, this line also has to do with Rosh Hashanah. It doesn't have to do with us. But the name Moshe gives a decent shot in this. Look, but if you brought a chagiga on Shabbos, it's sacrificed on Shabbos. Is it kosher? It is kosher, right? Shouldn't have brought it, but you're told by mitzvah, it's a kosher korban. So the achashilu hevi, however, baby kosher, oiver. So that means that since if you brought it and improperly, it's still a kosher Pesach. So on that it say, since you brought the out, once you brought it, it's still kosher Chagiga. You should have brought it. Once you brought it, make sure all the chalavi, the Chagiga, are sacrificed by the night, by overnight of the first night Pesach, in order that you shouldn't transgress Baal Solin in the morning. Okay? Now, all that is talking about stuff which is doichel Shabbos. But it's roasting by the chasa, and watch its inner einon doichin. They don't push off Shabbos. Now we have a kasha, although the Gemara doesn't say it explicitly here. It should. There's the question the Gemara is about to address is it says that when Erev Pesach comes out on Erev Shabbos, then that night, right before nightfall, they're allowed to drop their ovens into the tanur to roast. How could they do that? The roasting then is being doichel Shabbos, isn't it? So it says here we see that you have to do the roasting at night. But elsewhere it says that you're allowed to put the Korban Pesach into the oven to roast, even though it's right before Shabbos. Why is that permissible? So it says, I want to tell you why. To put it in to the oven is only the Rabbanon. To put in raw meat into an oven on Erev Shabbos, even though it's a moment before Shabbos, still only this is the Rabbanon, not this is the Raisa, right? So this is the Rabbanon, we're matir. So it says, well, wait a minute, whoa. If you're matir, it's the Rabbanon for a Pesach, so why could you also bring it from beyond the Tchum, or carry it from beyond the Tchum on Shabbos as well? So so it's really a question. It's bitmiya. It's an astonishment. Right? You never said we allow those drabbonans. Why this drabbonan? So it says more very interesting answer. El chutz Yerushalayim hu el chutz Yerushalayim ha chutz la'azara. Chutz Yerushalayim you can't do. In other words, where's Tchum? Beyond Yerushalayim. Three Sayin from beyond Yerushalayim is not mutter. They were not their Tchum. However, but El Chutz Yerushalayim, El Chutz Yerushalayim. Michutz Azara mutter. But here the roasting, which is inside Yerushalayim, just outside the Azara, is mutter. Mishum Shvus Yitir Yitir B'Mikdash. Because part of those Shvusim, those Yisurin Abonach, they're matir Beis HaMikdash, or here they're matir in the cause of roasting Korban Pesach. So it's a very interesting thing. You see here that Ein Shvus HaMikdash can apply even to not just the Mikdash itself, but also the place in Yerushalayim. Right? Place in Yerushalayim where you're going to roast the Korban Pesach. The Shvus of not putting meat onto a fire right before Shabbos did not apply. Okay? So it's interesting raya to those who hold the Rambam. I don't know if it's a good raya, but and later on we'll see rayas which indicate the opposite. But it seems that it's a decent raya for the Rambam. I think it's the Rambam who holds that all of the old city of Yerushalayim, all of the walled city of Yerushalayim, has the din of the Beis HaMikdash. Because here we see that the Shvus is mutter even in the city of Yerushalayim. Okay. Says more further. That's why, according to the Rambam, all 7 days in Yerushalayim in the Yer Atikah, lulav is deraisa. Because even though it's only deraisa in the Beis HaMikdash, the Rambam holds all Yerushalayim is in the Beis HaMikdash. No?
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, but nafkamina is, many years ago when I was in Shalvim, and I once went to the old city for a convention. So Rabban Lichtenstein was speaking, and he had, of course, already shaken lulav that day. But this is on Sukkot. But when he came to the old city to speak, he took the lulav again.
Made a bracha.
No, I don't think it was a bracha. Okay, I think he had one bracha a day by lulav, but regardless, because of the din deraisa.
Kiyum d'Rabbanan did not help for Kiyum d'Oraisa.
It could have pater you from your chiyuv to fulfill the deraisa, but you generally didn't get a mitzvah deraisa. Whereas now you get a mitzvah deraisa, right? So that's an afkamina. All right, chatiras yabelas. You're not allowed to cut off a wart on Yontif. So Tamati, we learned elsewhere, Masechta Shabbos. The Shabbos Masechta Eruvin. Sorry. Tamati, we learned Masechta Eruvin. The Chodchin Yabelas from Mikdash Avlo B'Mdina. One is allowed to cut off a wart in the base of Mikdash. Now, there's a big machlokas here between the Mefarshim. If the wart is on the Kohen, we had this already back in Eruvin, the same machlokas. If the wart is on the Kohen or the wart is on the animal, right? Because both are possible because of warts and blemishes. Let's assume it's on the animal. And we're talking about the animal. So you're allowed to cut a wart. Which one is it? So if it's only if it's a keli, then it's also regardless. But if it's not a keli, so you're allowed to base hamikdash, not out beyond the base hamikdash. So it says, so we had we accept from the Far Mishnah. So it says, well, Rabbi Sim and Rabbi Shub and Levi Shem Bar Pardoya said, Mishru Midnei Kilchu Payosos. The reason why by over there you cut off the wart, whereas by us you don't, is because here it's about a case where the ray selected, if it's going on the Kohen, they selected the Kohen for the Korban Tamid, or one of the many Kohen who did the Korban Tamid, or if it's going on the animal, so it means the ray selected the animal which they want to use for the Korban Tamid. So anyway, if you parcel the person or the animal, you're going to have to go back from scratch and start the whole selection procedure again as who does what avodah. So therefore they didn't want to do that. So therefore, in Erevin, that's like a B'diavad situation where you already chose an animal or chose a Kohen. So then you do go back, you don't go back. You don't go back. I mean, you cut off the wart, right? You cut off the wart, so you don't have to go back to do the elections, the selections, right? So there you cut off the wart in order not to have to go back to do the selections. Here we're not holding by that stage yet, so there we don't cut off the wart. So the circumstances are not that extenuating over here as they were over there. But we're talking about the Korban Tamid. Here the circumstance is not extenuating, so we don't cut off the wart in this case. The wart is the mum.
Yeah, I know. So
and you don't at Shabbos.
You have to find
Shabbos.
All
Right.
So you just select another korban.
But for a Tamid, you'd rather cut off the wart than have to start from scratch. For Korban Pesach, you start from scratch. That's what we're saying. So again, they kilkul hiyasus. Rabbi Yosef in ancient Ephesus where they already went through the lottery. Hashem Rabbi Subia said, "Kami freches." In everywhere it was permitted. It's talking about a dried up wart. So you just flaking it off, literally. It's not talking about a case where you have to actually cut it. The Kamsheni freches here in our Ba'atzeva, we have to actually slice it or apply pressure to it, and that's why it's forbidden. Rav Shimon Yochim Omer. Rav Shimon Yochim says, "Kam b'lacha, kam b'yavesha." If it's a moist water, obviously it's more significant. You're not allowed to do it. If it's a dry water, you're allowed to do it. If you say kam b'yad, kam b'keli, with your hand, it's permissible. If it's with a tool, it's forbidden. Asher Shimon Lakish Kabar Kapara. Shimon Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochim. Shimon Yochim who said distinction between. Shimon Lakish. I'm sorry. Asher Shimon Lakish who said Kamini Freches, Kam She'eni Freches, whether it crumbles off or not. That's going like Bar Kapara. But we'll see in a moment. Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, who said that the difference is whether you're using your hand or a tool. That's like Rabbi Yochanan, who we're going to see in a moment as well. The Tani, as we learned, here's the moment. Kol mekalkelim b'turim, any mekalkel is exempt on Shabbos. Chutzin amavir v'osa chabura. With the exception, anybody who ruins something is potter, except for somebody who burns something, or somebody who's making a wound. This is true even if you do not need the blood, and even if you don't need the ashes. In other words, when you're making a avara, you're making the fire, or you're making the I'm sorry. Just a second. It's a machlokas by Mavir, by Choyvel and Mavir. By Choyvel and Mavir, do you have to actually get a benefit from it in order to be chayav? Or since they're by nature destructive activities, even if it's completely destructive, you're chayav. That's machlokas by Kapar and Rabbi Yochanan. By Kapar, it's a destructive malach. These are destructive malachos, Choyvel and Mavir, wounding and making a fire. So therefore, if the Torah answered them, even though destructive must be, there's no need for them to be constructive in order for them to be also. They're also regardless. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, even these malachas got to be constructive, because malachas machshavas asatar means constructive work. You have to have a benefit from what you're doing, even if it's choyvel u'mavir. So that's the machlokas. Let's see that again inside. The last narrow line. The tani kol mekalklim b'torah chutzi that choyvel u'mavir. Every mekalka is butter except for choyvel u'mavir. Mavir voice chabura. By kapor marafilu ain't a tzarich l'dam. That's true. Even if he doesn't need the blood. Afilu ain't tzarich leifer. Even if you don't need the ashes, you're still chayav. Rachidu Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, "Kan v'kan." Oh, it's good. Ram Rabbi Yochanan said, "Vushi tzarich l'dam, vushi tzarich leifer." Not true. Has to be some constructive purpose. You have to need the dirt, or need the ashes, or need the blood, right? So again, as we said, Rabbi Shimon Lakish holds like Bar Kapara, because Shimon Lakish holds if it's choyvel mamish, it's not mutter, even if you use a yad, even beyond it's also if it's choyvel mamish. Why is that? Because he holds even if it's not beneficial to you, right? Still also. Even there's no benefit whatsoever. So the whole time is where the wort is crumbly already. It's already flaking off. So therefore it's just to add on to that, it's not the raisa. Right? Now it's all 37 besides these. The 37 besides these. Now however, for Shimon and Yochim who said it depends if you use your hand. I'm sorry, Rabbi Yossi Chanina, who was it? Rabbi Yossi Chanina said it depends if it's with your hand or with your vessel. He holds a taka, mekalko b'chabura is potter. You have to, even if even by chabura, even by making wounds, and even by mavir, there has to be a purpose, a beneficial purpose, right? And therefore, over here, if you're just plucking it off, there's no prohibition. Yeah, if you're just plucking it off with your hand, there's no prohibition. Because you don't want the wart, right? You just want to get rid of it, right? So there's no benefit for you. Now, if you use a keli, it's still going to be in this deraisa, but not this deraisa of ma'am b'choyvel, rather this deraisa of what? If you use an implement, what would it be? Gozes, harvesting, right? So he holds that don't use a keli, use just your hand. With your hand, you can't be any more than choyvel. It's choyvel shlo l'tzorech, you're potter. Whereas Rishim and Lucky, whereas Bar Kapara and Rishim and Lucky say. I forgot what their distinction was. Oh yeah, that even if there's no benefit, it's still considered to be choyvel u'mavir, right? So therefore, in this case over here, no matter how you, no matter if you take it off with your hand, it still could be this chabura, right? Because chabura doesn't require scalpels, right? So therefore, his distinction was, you don't require benefit. So the distinction was between a case where it is still adhering, or a case where it's flaking off already. So it's flaking off already. It's not as if you're doing anything because it's already partially off. Okay.
You aren't benefiting from it because you're getting a kosher carbon, right? Like you would with otherwise. So why isn't the Gemara considering that as a benefit?
It's a good question. Because it's not in the gufa, it's not in the body itself. The body itself is not enhanced by this.
You're cutting off the wart, you're not using the wart for anything. You're not getting a benefit out of that.
Or the place of the wart. That's what I think it is. Okay, so says the Gemara, Rabbi Achab and Rabbi Chia b'Shem Yochanan said, "Kan v'kan b'lachan kayomim." In both cases, I tell you about a moist wart. The only case where it's also the case where for some reason you need the blood. Don't ask me why. Havasa chutz tchum shvus. The main core base from beyond the tchum is the shvus is the rabbanan. Misayeh lo adam ma Rabbi Yoina, so as arrived at which Rabbi Yoina said, "Kumi Rabbi Chia in front of Rabbi Chia." Rabbi Chia Rab in front of Rabbi Chia the gate. B'shem Rishon Bayosef Lakunya name Rishon Bayosef for Lakunya. Loki al Tchum Shabbos the Dvar Torah. When it gets Malchus on Tchum Shabbos the Raisa. Now that's not a right to that because obviously here we said you're not allowed to read from outside the Tchum, right? On Rabbi Chia Rabba said, "V'lo ein Shabbos elaskila v'kares." Right? Shabbos is no prohibition of Tchumin because neither skila nor kares. Now, for this we see that he also told Tchumim must be the Rabbanan, right? Not the Raisa. Because it says the Raisa is either only Chiyuv Misa or Chiyuv Skila or Chiyuv Kares, and without that, there's no such thing as a penalty, right? So we find a penalty. It must be the Rabbanan. Okay? So that's the Raya. That what you said.
So the local is Marcus Marcus, right?
What?
The local is Marcus Marcus.
Yeah. No. Lokin is the Oraisa if you get Malchus. Rabbi Chia says you don't get Malchus. Yeah, Ela Skila Kars, there is no Malchus at all. So Amar Leisa said to him, Voxi, doesn't it say? Now there's a big typo here. Let's look at the Carbonata and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line down in the wide lines. You see the Hey Gilal Achi Garcinon? Amalei Voksiv Shuish Tachta says any person sit on their spot. Ayetzim Kobi Oshi shouldn't leave his place on the 7th day. Right? So we see from that that we have a what? Either means it's.
I thought the only difference is that the one is 12 meal and the other is.
Yeah, we have the Yerushalmi, but not in this sugya. The sugya doesn't bring that down. So, Amalei Vaksi al Tochli Meruna. Alright, I skipped again. Look at the carbonated. I'm sorry, I didn't finish what he says. So, Amalei Vaksi Shuish Tachta. Ayetzi should come, nobody should leave his place. B'yom Mashiach on the 7th day. B'yom Mashiach. What? What's that? I'm reading for the carbonator. Amalei Maksiv Lo. Let's say Lo, which would make it a lab. Al ksiv. Al is not a lab. It means don't do it, but it's not the proper lab. So he says Al not a proper lab. By Voksi don't say Al tochli menu no. Don't eat it raw or quasi cook. So we see that Al is a prohibition because there it's a lab, right? And it does say again Miksiv Lo Al ksiv. It says Al. So we see that Al also could be an Issa D'Oraisa. In other words, Rabbi Yonasan is saying, how can you say it's an Issa D'Oraisa? It says Al Yetze Ishu Komo. And Al is the Lashon of a lab. And whenever it says Al, it can mean a lab. So here too it's a lab, right? So says the Gemara. Oh, he didn't answer the question. Let's look at the second last line. Even though he asked a good question, he said Al should be allowed. Nevertheless, neither of them recanted or retracted. So therefore, what does it come out? That there's an opinion here that Tchum is the rice, and an opinion which is Tchum the Rabbanan. We're going to opinion that Tchum is the Rabbanan. Okay? It's cutting off the wart with a keli, indeed a shvus. I forgot what the meaning of his question is. I guess we're asking again, why isn't cutting off the wart with a kli only necessary to Rabbana, let it be Doicha Shabbos? So Me'avah said, Lo Tay Rabbi Yisrael Chanina, Kavaso V'Avaso. Indeed, all that we prohibited was bringing the carbon in, either by shoulder or by dragging. But to cut off the wart is not a problem. So it says more no. The reason why I didn't mention the let me make sure I got this right. Let me start at the top of the page again. Let me have a low tie Rabbi Yisrael Chena Kavas V'Avaso. The only things that are Doicha Shabbos are not Doicha Shabbos are. Now it came back to me. I should preface the sugya. Lieberman says that this sugya is not in the same base measure as the previous sugya. Lieberman has a short monograph in the Yerushalmi, which I have not seen, called Talmudasho Ketzarin, which proves that different parts of Yerushalmi are made a different but in Medrash. Some in Katzrin and some in Tveria, okay? So here we already had the discussion of what to do with the word on Shabbos and Yom Tov already, right? And here we're reiterating that. So he says, the Sugya Nominal was the Talmud of, I don't know how he knows, I'm sure it's in his book, was Talmud of Tveria, and this is Talmud of Kitzrin here. So I may have a low time again, we had said that we had the mission, you could only ride it, about to low. The riding carries stuff, we now have to cut the warts. So me begin to suffer with kli. That's all because he thought we were using a kli. Or in low, sorry here. I'm just saying. Begin, third line down. Begin to suffer a kli. The only reason why it doesn't mention chatichas yabalto, the cutting of the wart, is because he also using a keli. Or a low. I'm so not sure if I'm getting this right. Yeah.
Commentator says, when we get to summer the clay, that it's a shivos, because it's the clay, that using a clay as a shivos. If you shivos, the time if you have low summer,
I haven't written down here what it means. I can't figure out what I wrote. That's typical. Okay, I got it. Rabbi Yosef always said the things that are out there Shabbos which should be enumerated in our Mishnah are Kovan Avah, even though they're Rabbanan. So Chatichas Yabal to law, but Chatichas Yabal you don't enumerate in our Mishnah that it's not the Shabbos because it's the Raisa. So it says more, whoa, that's what I mean. Begin to suffer Bekeli. It must be that's only because he holds you do with a Keli. That's why it's the Raisa. So what do you want to infer for that? What if he didn't do a Bekeli? Is it a Shvus? It can't be. Located Rabbi B'Shem Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Pligin. When is the machlokas? When I bite, when nails are removed by the preferred method of biting. When is it considered to be a deraisa? When is it considered to be a derabbanan? So on Shabbos, of course. So here, ma pligin b'shenot who? So machlokas by when you bite off your own nails if it's deraisa derabbanan. Because maybe you're going to do it right, maybe you're going to do it wrong. If you do it precisely, it should be a deraisa. If you do it inaccurately, it's derabbanan. However, if somebody else takes off your nails, even with a keli, even with a nail clipper. Well, they didn't have nail clippers back then. I don't know what the halach is. But even with a nail clipper, me'usine, they're repugnant. How's he going to cut the nails for it properly? So if that's the case, I don't understand how you're inferring that even if that where there's a kli, it's a doraisa. Lamaisa, I'm removing movement from either another human being or another animal. And we said by cutting nails that if I cut your nails, it's only the Rabbanan, even I use a Dr. Scholl's nail clipper, so to here, how can it possibly be a doraisa to use a keli on a mum? Is that clear? It's repugnant. Who wants to get too close in order to examine it? Make sure that it's okay. So it says the Gemara.
Is artificial.
Artificial. No, that's right. Both should be both should be the Rabbanan, right? Because somebody else is doing it. Both should be the Rabbanan. So it says it says you got to make the korban a good korban. You got to make korban a good korban. When you remove the water, you better be medakdek. So therefore here the keli is the raisa because here adarabba where I'm cutting somebody else's fingernails, I don't want to be medakdek. It's repugnant. Why am I doing this? It's before manicures, right? So why am I going to get involved? I don't want to know what's going on. It's only the Rabbanan therefore, because I'm not medakdek. But here, to make a valid korban, of course it's going to be medakdek. So if it's going to be medakdek, when I use a keli, of course it's going to be a chiyuv d'oraisa. Okay? That's what it says. Okay? Again, Rabbi Yisrael Shani Or Desiv Zevach. Ramana said, Hazoya Shvus. Hazoya, sprinkling of Boraduma water is shvus. Ask the Gemara, wait, ve'elu shvus hazoya dochin. So why is it that shvus, the shvus of hazoya, pushes off Korban Pesach? In other words, if my 7th day comes on Erev Pesach, comes out to be Shabbos, you can't do sprinkling of the Boraduma ashes, right? So that's one shvus we were matir. But yet on the other time, ve'elu ein dochin, the other shvusim which you mentioned, Mishnah, which Pesach does push off. They don't push off Pesach. So what's the distinction between the two types of shvusim? So again, these are the shvur is not doiche, and the others are doiche. El shazeh b'zevach v'zeh b'zovech. Interesting distinction. Depends where the psul is. If the psul is in the zevach, in the korban, or in the zovech, or in the person, right? If it's in the zevach, There's certain things which are Deicha Shabbos, certain Shvusim, certain Drabonos. Right? That's a Mishnah. Washing cleaning the intestines, stuff like that, skinning, things like that. Those are mutter. However, things that have to do with the person who's being makriv, those are never mutter. Okay? So again, the zinchin is zevach and the zovech. Tan Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi, the bar kapara kun Rabbi Zira, Rabbi Yehuda bar. I'm sorry, I skipped the word. A line. Milsa Rabbi Zira Amar Hi Zovech Hu Zovech Hu Zevach Hu Zovech. The following Mishnah named Rabbi Yossi, the name of who? The following Mishnah named Rabbi Zira. Time Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi the bar kapara. What's the case? Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi. No. Rabbi Zira said. The bar kapara said. How's become Rabbi Zira? Oh, he's mentioned later on. Okay, scratch him. The words of Rabbi Zira indicate that the words of Rabbi Zira indicate that there's no difference between a zavach and zovech. If we're matir to remove blemishes for one, we should matir for the other one as well. What's that? Milsa Tai Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi. Rabbi Yehuda said bar Posi said the bar kapara I think I got it wrong again. Let's do that over again. Milsa Rabbi Zira Rabbi Zira's words, the response to bar kapara, indicate that he holds there's no difference between the zevach and the zovech. Tani Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi, Rabbi Yehuda bar Posi learned the bar kapara came calling Rabbi Zira and said, "Hey, kibel Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Shua Tshuva." How did Rabbi Lezer in the following Mishnah accept the distinction that Yotav doesn't push off and this is the Rabbana? And even though he responded to him there, he responded about a difference between a mitzvah and a reshus. But he didn't draw the distinction between zevach and zoveach. Why did he not draw a distinction in following Mishnah, which you're going to see imminently? Why is not draw a distinction between zevach and zoveach? Okay, Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shua Tshuva, Shezeh Zevach, Zovech. They're not comparable. Why one is zevach, one is zovech? Amalei, so Rabbi Zira said, Bar Kapara Tama. Bar Kapara has his kasha. Rabbi Eliezer, take out the next word, Lo Tama. Rabbi Eliezer doesn't have his kasha. What basically Rabbi Zira is telling him is that Rabbi Eliezer is not meshubah to your logic. You draw the distinction between zevach and zoveach, things in the carbon where the shvusim are pushed off, and things in the person where the shvusim are not pushed off. Rabbi Eliezer doesn't know of such a chiluk. Who says Rabbi Eliezer has to all of your chiluk? That's the Mishnah is about to say. Rabbi Eliezer said. This is Rabbi Lezer speaking. Umayim shchita she mishum melache. Shchita is a melache. Torch is a Shabbos, b'shem Shabbos. Elu, these the Rabbana she mishum shvus, which are the shvus. Lo yichus ha-Shabbos. Lo yichus ha-Shabbos, should they not certainly b'shem Shabbos? Rabbi Yeshua Mishnah said, no, Yontif yochiach. Yontif is different. Shchita b'melache, latu melecha soichel nevesh on Yontif. V'asar b'mishum shvus, you're not allowed to do the Rabbanot. Carrying an Eruv, whatever. Carrying an Eruv, because you're allowed to carry on ship. An example. Cool. Good example. Thank you for saving me. So, Tchum is also on Yontif, even though it's Rabbanan. So we see the Rabbanan are also on Yontif. Now, according to Bar Kapor in the previous Gemara, what should Rabbi Eliezer have answered? Should have answered Rabbi Yeshua Karakashi asking, I'm talking about Zevach, you're talking about Zoveach. I'm talking about in the Korban, I'm saying all Shvusim in the Korban are Doicha. You're bringing me a raya from a guy who's cooking on Yotav or a guy who's walking Tchum on Yotav. There's no comparison. Since he didn't answer that, says Rabbi Zira, it must be he doesn't know the chiluk between Zevach and Zoveach. He doesn't hold of that distinction. What's his distinction? He has one, but not the same one. How can you arrive from reshus, from optional activity, meaning what you're doing on Yontif in your own privacy, your own home, or in your own concerns, to Pesach? Pesach is a mitzvah; it's required to do. So there, I say shvus is teichen. Says Gemara, what? Ma reshus? What kind of reshus is this? It's a typo. Korbaneh says ma reshus. Sorry, ma reshus. Locates here, doesn't say Havachalos HaKodshim V'Hamevadas HaMoyados. Somebody desecrates the korbanos and makes a mockery of Yom Tovim V'Hamever B'Yisrael Shel Avraham Avinu, and somebody doesn't keep his milah properly. And someone who is Negal Panim B'Torah, somebody who teaches Torah improperly, meaning he doesn't paskin properly, or tell Pshatim the Torah properly. Avo Pishesh Biyodo Torah Masim Tovim, even though he does Torah Masim Tovim, Ein Lo Chel Kelam Habo, he has no portion of the world to come. Sakre, let's say it's a Rishus. Yontif is a Rishus. Yontif is just as much mitzvah as Pesach. Adarab, it's a much more Chomer mitzvah. If you don't keep Yontif, you're going straight to hell. So what are you going to do? Right? How can you say it's only a Rishus? So, says the Gemara, it's a good chap. Now, truth is, if I went to the Gemara, I would have answered, knowing the Bavli, that Rabbi Lezer holds you don't have to be Sameach on Yontif. You learn the Bavli himself says, Daf Sameches says, according to Rabbi Lezer, O Kul Hashem, O Kul Hachem. You don't have to go and be happy on Yontif, right? That's what I have answered, but Yerushalmi doesn't answer that. So Yerushalmi must hold, even Rabbi Lezer, there's a minimal din of Simcha. That's why it's a valid question, Rabbi Eliezer. So, what does Yerushalmi answer? Rabbi Yirmiyah Ma'u Rishus, Ratza Bisha, Lo Ratza Lo Bisha. Yeah, of course you have to be Sameach on Yontif. Do you have to cook on Yontif? Have cold cuts. They cause tremendous simcha. You don't have to cook. You're assuming that it's a Rabbi Yeshua is assuming it's a mitzvah to cook on Yontif. It's no such. This is a funny term. They change it because it makes sense in context. It means this is what he should have asked. But here they change it to Meshiv or Mesiv Bazeh, whatever. They change it because it's a funny term. Rabbi Lezer tzorich mizbazeh. Rabbi Shul. This is the kasha Rabbi Lezer could, even though it says tzorich. It means should. Here it means could. Here's the question you could have asked Rabbi Yoshua. You could have asked Rabbi Yoshua like this. Okay. Harei chagigas. Harei chagigas. Who's supposed to ask who? 1 second. God. Yeah, Rabbi Shua should have asked Rabbi Eliezer the following question. This is the question Rabbi Shua should have asked Rabbi Eliezer. Harei chagigas yontif. Listen, Rabbi Eliezer. The chagiga of yontif. Kishitascha, like you guys. You guys, who's Rabbi Eliezer from? What school of thought? Which school of thought did Rabbi Eliezer come from? Beis Shammai. Rabbi Eliezer Shamuti Hava. He was from Beis Shammai. So what does Beis Shammai hold about Smicha and Yontif? Can't do it. Not Somech and Yontif. Not Somech and Chagigas. So so you should have said Chagigas Yontif Shitascha Tochiach Shiyatil Bar Melach. You said if you're Mati Melach or Koshkin, you're Mati Shvus. Baloney, Rabbi Yeshua should have said to Rabbi Eliezer. He should have said, what about Chagiga? Chagiga, you're Mati the Melach of Shchita, but not Mati the Shvus of Smicha. And you, Rabbi Eliezer, agree to that, because that's your Shita as Beis Shammai. Ha! What are you going to say to that? Right? So again, we should have said, Chagigas Yontif Shitascha Tochiach Shiyatil Bar Melach of Asur Mishum Shvus. Melach is mutter, but Shvus is Asur. But yet, what could Rabbi Eliezer respond that? Rabbi Eliezer would respond that Loim Amarta b'Chagigas Yontif Shein Chayovim Aleh Kores. You know why there's a distinction? Chagigas Yontif, you're not chayiv koris, don't bring it. So they told you don't do smicha. During Pesach, you're chayiv and chayiv in learn koris, as opposed to Pesach, where you don't do chayiv koris. So that's what Rabbi Yeshua lets, because they responded to Rabbi Yeshua. The Pesach is still more chomer. As for Rabbi Yasivnei b'mas nisa. So why Taka doesn't he mention in the Mishnah? It says Kimas Nisan, but the Mashpia changes to Mas Nisan. Taka. Why didn't Rabbi Eliezer say to Rabbi Yeshua, you're being right for Yontif to Pesach? What kind of Amaratzis is there? By Yontif, of course the Rabbonets are not Toicha, because you're not Chayav Koris if you don't eat well on Yontif. By Pesach, however, you don't do the Rabbonets, you're going to be Chayav Koris. There's no comparison. So says Lamar, very interesting answer. Rabbi says very fascinating. Very good answer. Says, you know what? Kaidama Rabbi Yami. It's like Rabbi Yami said, Ashirin hoya b'tshuvos. There were many conversations based on They were rich in conversations and all sorts of rayas, but not all of them brought down. You think everything we have here is all Chazal could say about the topic? It's not all brought down. This is the Reader's Digest condensed version, right? Oh, Yovo, or Yeva, or let's say consider this, Kaidim Rabbi Yasa, like Rabbi Yasa said, Kinish Nitzle train Tamin, like a person's got two aces up his sleeve, right? He's got two reasons, who most of Chaimi only brings one down. So it's fundamental. Every Mishnah and Shas, you can really bring down countless more riots back and forth. But Chazal didn't bother. Only one sufficed, and that was the archetype from which you could deduce the others. So that's why he didn't bring down the chiluk between kores and non-kores, because you can learn that on your own. You don't need us for that. Okay. Hey, Rabbi Kiva. So Rabbi Kiva stepped to the plate. Rabbi Kiva comes to say, Rabbi Lezi, you're wrong. Shvus is not doiche. Shvus is not doiche for Goren Pesach. Hazoyah tochiach, sprinkling of the waters for the Por Aduma. Shu mitzvah, which is a mitzvah, no, which you can't do Goren Pesach without it. Even Shu Shvus and Oyas and the Rabbanan, Ve'en Edechas Shabbos, you can't do it on Shabbos, not allowed to. Right? Avatar Titmalelu. So to all these cases where we're not doing Shabbos. Shabbos, Shem Mitzvah, even though they're about Mitzvah Pesach, and Mishum Shvus, and they're all the Rabbanans, Lo Yitchus Shabbos, they don't push of Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Eliezer said, Valani done! I want to be Matir Azoya. That's precisely my point. Ma'im Shchita she Mishum Malacha. If Shchita, which is also because of Malacha, Doichas of Shabbos, don't push of Shabbos. Hazoya she Mishum Shvus. Hazoya which is the Rabbanan. Lo Tisra Shabbos should not put up Shabbos. So Rabbi Kiva made him very mad. Amar Rabbi Kiva said, oh Chiluf, you know what? Let's try it the other way. Yes, by the way, the Mashbiach's Girsa is U Chiluf, not O Chiluf. He says, U is the contractual word who, and it means the exact opposite. Because we're going to say Rabbi Kiva is going to be called on the carpet for being Mavaz's Rebbe here, by saying, oh Chiluf. Mashbiach says strange if he said, or perhaps differently. That's the way you're supposed to speak to your Rebbe, right? You're supposed to say, or perhaps Rebbe, it's different than what you said. So that's why he changes to who. He says it's the exact opposite. So Rabbi Kiva made a direct attack on Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so he said, well, let's say the opposite. My Azoya Shemishum Shvus say Derech Shabbos. If Azoya is not Derech Shabbos, forget it. Av Shchita Shemishum Lochel Derech Shabbos. Let's not do Shchitas Pesach when it comes out of Erev Shabbos. When it comes out of Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Akiva, Masha Kotsu B'Torah B'Bein Arbaim. That's what it says in the Torah. B'Bein Arbaim B'Moado. Bein B'Chol, Bein B'Shabbos. How can you possibly say such a thing? Of course, Shchita is Doicha Shabbos. It says B'Moado. It says Bein Arbaim. So Rabbi Akiva said back to Mamalo, Haveli Moed Le'elu K'Moed B'Shchita. You know why? Shchita is Doicha because it says Moed, but doesn't say Moed by sprinkling Por Aduma water. That's why Azoya is not Doicha Shabbos. Klamar Rabbi Akiva said general principle. Kom Loch Shev Shlo Esos Me'erev Shabbos. Any blow which can be done for Erev Shabbos. Ein Doicha Eser Shabbos. Does not push of Shabbos. Shchita She'yev Shar La'asos Me'blo Me'erev Shabbos. Doicha is a Shabbos that pushes off Shabbos. Okay? Now, 13 shana asa Rabbi Akiva nichnas to Rabbi Lezer. For 13 years, Rabbi Akiva learned by Rabbi Lezer, and Rabbi Lezer didn't know who he was. V'zui hatzcholas tshuvas harishayif le Rabbi Lezer. This is the first time he peeped up in front of Rabbi Lezer. This Mishnah. Amalo Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Yeshua said, Halo zeh asher ma'astabo. This nation, he said about him, this pastor, this nation that you repudiated, say atavi lochimo. Now go out and fight it. Now the rest of the Gemara is all messed up. Mashbiach says now we should come to the line here at the top of the next page. Ashkach Tane Ba'adei Kan Maisa. Even though here Rabbi Akiva was inferior to Rabbi Lezer, later on in life, Rabbi Akiva superseded Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Akiva's words come first in Brises before the words of Rabbi Lezer. Which Brisa? Come back to Amud Aleph. Tamatina, we learned Ezu Derech Rechoika Minamod. What's considered to be Derech Rechoika far from Yerushalmi for Korban Pesach? Minamodias Lachutz, from Modin and beyond. Ukvidas Charuach in that radius on all sides. Divi Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva's words are first. Rabbi Lezer Rabbi Lezer says from beyond the Hazara. So we see that Rabbi Akiva, even though Rabbi Akiva started out being a Talmud for 30 years, Rabbi Lezer didn't know who it was. But it means the first 12 years till Rabbi Akiva went home and came back, Rabbi Lezer didn't know who he was, right? When he came back, then Rabbi Akiva got the courage to speak up. So then later on, Rabbi Akiva comes first before Rabbi Lezer. All right, we'll leave the rest of it. We'll stop here and continue tomorrow here because then also this a little bit complicated the next one. Tomorrow, kids.